Alright, good morning guys. So yesterday I did say that I was probably going to do a longer video today of something a bit different, and I have pulled out the Delorean from Hot Toys. Yeah, Matt, this is the Hot Toys Delorean. I just haven't I haven't assembled it all the way, simply because if you would have seen my previous photos in that, I've actually got everything boxed up around storage room here. But I haven't taken this out for quite a while, and I was just making sure that all the electronics and everything is still working. But I figured I would show it off simply because I have not seen too much of this mentioned recently, simply because it is an older piece and probably quite hard to get these days, so I figured I'd just show it. So we do have Doc and Marty in the seats. Now, I only recently picked up Doc during the Boxing Day sales because he was quite, I think he was 25% off at Zing, so I figured I'd get him. I didn't really like the fact that he had the only the Great Scott head sculpt, but for the price that it was, I figured it was justifiable. Now, I only do have the original Back to the Future Marty. I did not pick up the Back to the Future 2 Marty simply due to too much Star Wars and whatnot coming out, but I figured it's Doc and Marty anyway, so it doesn't really matter what outfit Marty is wearing. Now I'll just go over, so that the box is quite big. It's not as big as the Keaton Batmobile box, and it's probably on par with Hulkbuster, but not as heavy. For what it is actually quite light, which is very good to know, so that way you're not going to struggle lifting and whatnot. So, I'll just go over the accessories for the car real quick. So you do get these stickers, which you can see I have attached. You do get spares, thank Christ, in case you stuff it up for whatever reason, or maybe it gets scratched. Now, it does have the frame, the wiry frame that goes around the car. I just haven't attached it simply because it's, this is probably going to go straight back in the box after this video, but I've been looking at Moducase, and they actually have units that can fit the Batmobile, the Delorean, and Jabba's throne quite nicely. You get 3 of them. Is it 7? I think it might have been 2 for 700 or 3 for $1,000 maybe. I can't remember their exact pricing. The more you buy, the cheaper they come down to. But you can get a full wall display, which comes with 3 large cases and 6 medium cases for I'm going to say about 2,700 Australian delivered. Quite expensive for a cabinet setup, but the fact that they're so deep, they're 60 centimeters deep. So the fact that they're so deep, and it really gives you the space. I feel it's worth just having all that display space. You do of course get the instructions. I did read those before I reread those before I did this. And then I haven't placed it on the dash, but you do get the fuel cap and the clock, the extra clock as well. So the car obviously just comes with what it needs to come with, and everything else comes with the figures themselves. Now I will cover the figures themselves after looking at the car, so don't worry there. Alright, so back to the Delorean itself. So we do have, the doors are obviously on a very nice ratchet joint. It does go all the way down, and it does clip close quite nicely. We do have a superb amount of detailing around all of this. You can see that I have left the plastic on, again, simply just for that extra bit of protection. You can never be too careful with these type of things, especially when they are extremely limited. There is the sticker for the number plate. I know when it first came out, There were a few people that were a little bit bummed that it was just a sticker. I mean, I didn't really mind it at the time, but it would have been cool if it was sculpted and that this part was kind of, I think the word's embossed, where it comes out a bit and like a normal number plate does. I know original as well, some people wish that this was actually also die-cast sculpt, but it is what it is. And I mean, this, back when it came out, I mean, I'm sure it's probably not cheap these days, but back when it came out, it was definitely not cheap. You just have to be careful of the figures. I don't actually think it's designed to close all the way with the figures inside it, but that's okay because we're not going to be closing it all the way anyway. So the little white tabs, quite easy to remove the plastic without smudging it. And the hood lifts off. Got to pull it forward just a tiny bit to get that little gap, and then it comes out here. Now, just for the purpose of the video, I left it unscrewed. You can see the batteries in there, and this was quite cool. You get this little button, and coming around to the front, we've got the Delorean logo there. And then it comes out and you can see that the lights are on quite nicely, and you can actually see the flux capacitor blinking through the windscreen there, which is very, very cool. So coming back around, now I know this was also a little tiny bit disappointing to a few people. So we do have the lights in there, of course. We do have the brake lights and the indicators. So, all lights up quite nicely. You can see that little red bulb there. Oh, that one might be dying a bit. I wonder if it's just because it's bright. So, people were a little bit, I suppose, annoyed when it first came out, when they found out that all the dash, so these here were the stickers that you had to apply yourself as well. They were quite easy to get on. Again, the shape's there, so you can't really mess it up. But you can see that nothing on the actual dash itself, and sorry, I'm just trying to keep it focused. Nothing on the actual dash itself lights up. And that was what kind of annoyed a fair few people when it came out. Because for the price point, we'd have expected the dash, or at least the year, the kind of light up. And we did not want to do that. Issue with touchscreens. So we do have the little light in there. Again, you can see the flux capacitor. And then we have that light that I showed before when I was on Doc's side. So I'll just go back into that side so we can have a look at more of the detailing. So again, you can see the dash is very nicely detailed. Like, all the numbers and all the years are there. This is very hard to see because there is no dash light. And then you can see Doc, the flux capacitor from his side, and then that bright light at the back there. So the lighting feature was a bit lackluster to some people when it did come out. But again, you can see that it is a beautifully detailed piece, and this does roll forward quite easily, rolls back quite easily. The Batmobile, no, it was the Tumbler. The Tumbler actually had little pegs that you can put into the wheels, and I think the Batbike did too, to stop it from rolling. It's quite interesting that they didn't include that feature here, but I mean, if you're going to have it in a case or something, it's not really going to roll away it's not really going to roll away too far anyway. So it's not really going to be all that much of an issue. I'm just going to see if I can actually try and close this door. Oh, there we go. So if you lean in back far enough, the door does close all the way. And just to get it, you just put your finger underneath there and lift it up. And then so just that detailing on the top there again. Like I said, if you're being careful and you're not touching it a lot, I can't really picture you, just slide him down a little bit more, I can't really picture you breaking it, or scuffing it at least. Yeah, and there we go. The door is nicely shut. So it just depends on how far back you lean the figures. Now, of course, I have not got the Back to the Future 2 Marty, so I can't really comment on it. But this one, you can see it is an excellent head sculpt to Michael J. Fox, and obviously the fact that these two figures are sitting in a car means that their articulation is also superb. And we'll just come around to Doc again, and I'll get the piloting. I've always just called it the piloting glasses. I don't know if it actually has a proper name. I apologize. And again, like I've met Christopher Lloyd at Supernova, and the likeness is, I'll say the likeness is fantastic. It's definitely him when he was a lot younger, but yeah, again, I just don't like the fact that this was the only head sculpt we got. A neutral switch out would have been fine, but it is what it is, and like I said, I got this guy at a pretty good discount, so it was enough of a discount for me to look past the open mouth sculpt there. And of course, it is like the most iconic face he does pull, but it was just a little annoying that we didn't get a second sculpt there, but that would have influenced the price. Anyway, alright, so I'm going to go over the accessories for these two real quick, and then we will wrap up. Alright, so we've got both of them. You can tell which one's Doc, because Doc has the Back to the Future 2, and Marty has the Back to the Future. Okay, so we get a variety of hands. I don't actually, I just used the relaxed palms with the steering wheel. The relaxed palms did fit over the steering wheel quite nice. But we do get Hill Valley. We get a Walkman that was, I think it's sculpted similar to Star-Lord's, maybe. I think the accuracy of this was contended when it first came out. The headphones, and of course the watch. Underneath that, we do get a skateboard. It's a very nice accessory, and it does roll like the car. You can see it's got that excellent pattern on there. So that just, if you put it back the right way, it just goes back in there, and then that slides in on top. We have the camcorder. Now this was the exclusive version, so we do get the guitar. And you can see that it does make noise with the strings, which is quite cool. Probably wouldn't do that overly often. We do get a guitar strap, I should say. And of course we get his backpack. He does hang on for hand to hold the Hill Valley poster quite well. Sunglasses. So yeah, we do not get we do not get the hat with this Marty, because obviously he wears the hat in here. The Martin McFly Jr. arrested for theft news headline that we get with Doc. These are very cool, and I really love how it's all miniature. And you can unfold it and open it. We also get Doc's case of money when they go back. And he opens up the case and he's got all the different dollar bills from all the different years. We do get his watches. The ooh, that was a little bit tricky to get out. So we do get this, and then we get his device here as well. Sorry for not knowing the terminology. It has been quite a while since I've watched the films, although I do enjoy them. It's just one of those things that you don't really get time for all that often. And then we of course get the display stand, and it's just a standard black, the Back to the Future 2, and this one's done in the style similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy style, because that was what they were going for when that was the type of shape they were going for when it was released. I think the Last Jedi ones are the same shape, now that I think about it. And then Marty has the older Hot Toy stand, which is just the round. And it says Back to the Future Marty McFly. Oh, Dr. Brown, it does, I'll lift this up real quick. It does say it there, Dr. Emmett Brown, Back to the Future 2. So slightly nicer display stand on Doc. But very cool set nonetheless. If I see the Back to the Future 2 Marty discounted, I haven't looked at the price locally for quite a while, but if I see that it's dropped, I might consider picking it up. But it's not really, just because I don't like having a lot of variants of the same character for that, and there are a lot of like Captain Americas and Black Widows and things like that I do not have, simply because I do not like having the variants. Okay, so one last look going around before we wrap up. So this was, I'm going to say that this was actually, I got 10% off of this with the pop pennies when it first came out. I'm going to say, I think it was about $800 maybe. I honestly can't remember. I do have the receipt for it somewhere. I just cannot remember how much it was, because it was so long ago. I do not know how much they go for on eBay these days. But if you do have the room, and if you do have the funds, like even if you don't really have the room, like I've kept this in this storage for pretty much the whole time I've owned it, and like I said, looking at the modular cases, I reckon I'll be able to display this. I won't do it here simply because we're in a rental, but in a few months when we move out, well, when we're hoping to move out, I definitely would consider displaying this in the modular case, simply because the modular cases are so big and do allow for it. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. So we had Back to the Future 1 Marty, Back to the Future 2 Doc, and of course the Delorean. Now, just on a finishing note, they did show a second version of the Delorean quite a few years ago at Comic-Con. Nothing has really come out of that. The only difference was that it had Mr. Fusion at the top, with the white stick coming up for when they were using the waste to power the car. And the wheels, this one does not do that, but the new one, well, the showcased one, had this kind of stand coming up, and these wheels actually folded under to make the hover version of this car. And, oh, really, Robert? That's really cool. Yeah, maybe we can work that out sometime. I live just near the highway to Harvey Bay. We're like the last street where the sports club is. Just around from there. So, yeah, like they did show it as coming soon, but then nothing ever happened with it. So I don't know whether they thought that maybe it was too expensive for collectors to obtain vehicles like these. We haven't really seen anything since. Because we had the Tumbler was the first one, I believe. I do have that, but I couldn't get it back in the it was when I was first started out collecting. I don't know why I attempted to put together such a complex piece on one of my first buys, but I actually could not fit it back in the box properly. And as doing so with the Tumbler, I've actually lost the sails. They're not lost, they are, I've got them, I just don't know where they are. They're in a box somewhere. Rest assured, I do have them. I just don't know where. But, so I will not do the Tumbler soon, but too soon, but I will eventually do that. when I find the pieces for it. So we got the tumbler, then we got Keating's Batmobile. Keating's Batmobile was a cool grand, I'm pretty sure. Again, I got the 10% off, so I think it was under that. And then we had this, which was slightly cheaper than Keating's Batmobile. And of course we had the smaller ones like the Bat Bike, and we have the Cameo Tumbler as well, because that got a re-release. But Hot Toys hasn't really done anything in the way of vehicles since this. They teased the 66 Batmobile, but that never happened. And there is the Millennium Falcon cockpit. But at recent shows, they were saying that that was display only, and to disregard that. Although sideshows still have it listed as coming soon, which confuses a lot of people. But anyway, so this is a really cool set to pick up if you can find it, or if you want it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed our look at the DeLorean, Marty and Doc.